Albert Einstein once said that life is like riding a bicycle, and to keep your balance, you have to keep moving. I think there's so much truth to that. Life is a funny thing. It's full of twists and turns that can't always be anticipated or accounted for. You just have to go with it and keep moving. When I got back from my last military tour of service, it felt different than it had been in the past. Getting back to typical life wasn't coming as naturally as before. At first, I just attributed my new struggles to having been gone for longer than usual. But as time passed, my symptoms became more frequent and more frustrating. I really couldn't put my finger on what was happening, but I came up with plenty of random explanations to convince myself things were fine. Eventually, when I couldn't hide it anymore, a good friend took notice and suggested I talk to a healthcare professional about PTSD. It was a lot at first to wrap my head around this idea of this mental health diagnosis. PTSD wasn't a big topic of conversation over my years of service. We understandably focus on the mission at hand, not so much what happens when it's over. I never thought this would be something that I'd face, but it's fairly common. A counselor mentioned that having someone else around regularly could be beneficial. Given my situation, however, a traditional roommate was out of the question. Thankfully, another buddy of mine opened up about his great experience with American service pets, and that really piqued my interest. In the military, we used task-trained dogs for a variety of operations. What I hadn't experienced was how comforting they can be. I also didn't realize that they could be trained to tangibly assist with psychological issues. I had no idea that companies existed to help folks through a process like this, but I'm really glad my buddy shared it with me. Apparently, 20 to 30% of veterans battle PTSD. It looks a little different for everyone, but in all cases, it affects daily life functions. I personally found myself triggered in public settings, which made it hard to leave the house. Sometimes I felt panicked, and other times I was extremely irritable or unable to concentrate on what I was doing. It took some time, patience, and dedication to get Colton ready to assist me, but it has 100% been worth every second. Not only has he become my best friend, but his service has proven irreplaceable. He really just is the greatest. He is extremely obedient, senses my symptoms coming on, and is able to ground me with a few basic visual commands. I'm also currently training him to wake me up and apply deep pressure therapy during my sleep disturbances. I wanted to share my story so that other people know it's okay to need help, and that having a service dog is completely attainable. Mental health disabilities kind of have this label of weakness. It's tricky to explain a disability that others can't physically see, but people struggle in all kinds of ways. The more it's discussed, the less anxious people will be to acknowledge it. I think what American Service Pets and other organizations are accomplishing is so helpful to the conversation. Not everyone wants to take medication, and service dogs and emotional support animals are an effective alternative. It's been a journey, but I'm truly proud of every part of it. I'm not sure where I would be right now without the love and care that Colton provides me every day. Like I said, life is a funny thing. A dog has helped me feel human again. I never would have guessed, but I'm just super thankful. Knowing that Colton can always be at my side is a relief beyond compare.